Ciao internet, come stai oggi?
Hello, internet. What's going on?
How are you
Yeah,
doing?
I'm okay currently.
Chris and Kim here with another episode of Rambling Tea Time.
Hey, everyone. Chris here. Feeling great to be alive once again and on this podcast with my lovely little sister.
It sounds like you're trying too hard because of our topic today, honestly.
Before we get to that,
What are you drinking before we get to that?
I am drinking something I've already had before on this lovely podcast. Irish breakfast. Sorry, breakfast. Twinings Irish breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe you already mentioned that it tastes okay. It's it's fine. I just wanted something mild, so that's what I got. What about you?
I'm drinking um Celestial Seasonings, what is that called? Honey lemon
Mm,
ginseng.
mm.
I really like it.
Yeah, anything. It's hard to go bad with teas that have honey in it.
But then I remember
I
the one that
remember
you
that
didn't
one.
like.
Yeah, that vanilla honey
Mm-hmm.
combination. Okay, yeah. I'm wrong. Nope, nope. You can fuck up with honey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This one is really
yeah.
nice
I've had
though.
that
I
before. It's
think
good.
it mixes or blends rather the flavors really well together.
Okay. Are you ready to dive into this topic today?
I mean, you're the one who needs to be ready. It seems that you're struggling already.
I am ready.
Okay. All right. So this week we watched Tribes of Europa.
Oh boy. We watched Tribes of Europa.
And we weren't going to watch it
No, no, we weren't. No.
from the trailer, but we decided to anyway.
Yeah. So, Tribes of Europa is Netflix new sci-fi post-apocalyptic show from the same guys. Well, sorry, the executive producers of Dark.
Right. I don't really think producing, not that it doesn't mean anything,
Exactly.
but they're not the ones involved with
They
the
aren't. I
story and the
don't think
writing
they're the
and,
writers or the
so
creators.
they're really just the ones that brought everything together, all the people, and the
Sure.
funding and whatnot.
Well, let's talk about the two things that I saw
What?
before we watched this. I saw two reviews came up on my feed, completely two completely different reviews for this show.
Mm-hmm.
One was saying Tribes of Europa is just another whatever sci-fi show.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine if you don't have any time or you want to waste time to watch something, you just need it to fill a void. And if you are a fan of Dark, this isn't going to fill that hole that Dark left,
Right.
right? And then I saw another review which was extremely ecstatic. It's like coming from the executive producers of the that great show Dark brings you Tribes of Europa. And I must tell you, if you're a fan of Dark, you will love Tribes of Europa. Set in a post apocalyptic setting where Europe has broken apart into tribes and are fighting over something. I didn't really read the thing, but I could tell that it seemed like if that person, it felt like that person was paid off
Here's what I want to say.
to give
I
a good
remember
review.
when you told me about these reviews that you saw, but I don't understand how it doesn't matter that the executive producers are the
Exactly.
same as Dark.
It will
The
matter more if it's the
story
same
is different.
writers or
The
stuff like that.
genre is different.
Yeah.
It's a totally different plot going on.
It's just
The
used as
only
a
thing that they're trying to say that is similar is that we're following a teenager, our
no,
teenagers
no, no.
as our mains.
The
That's the
reason,
only
the
similarity
only
that I could
reason,
find,
the
or that is in Germany.
yeah,
You
it's
understand?
probably the same. It's definitely it's the same
There's no
producers,
way that
same
if
company and
you
everything.
liked Dark, that you're gonna think
It's yeah.
Tribes of Europa is amazing. It's a lie.
No,
If you
no, no.
thought, like you and I, if you thought that Dark was really great,
Uh
and we
huh.
did, lots of people like Dark as well. when you watch Tribes of Europa, you will not see any similarities.
You aren't going to feel even the same quality in storytelling as well.
Exactly. So I couldn't understand that.
It's just an advertising point. It's like they did this thing that was good. Here's the other thing that they did. It might be good because it's the same executive
Again,
producers.
just because someone is the same executive producer, I mean, you don't even have to put that
It's a
like in the
selling point.
trailer. It
It's a
isn't. It
sell.
isn't.
It is.
It
It is to
isn't.
bring in people who watch Dart, people who know of Dart, people like they did a good job with Dart. Let me see what's their next show. That's the mentality that people are going in with. That's the only. That's why it's
It's
mentioned.
not the writer.
It's
It's
it's some guy
it
called
doesn't
Philip
make any
Koch
sense.
created the
I
show,
mean, it doesn't
and
make any sense.
apparently he got the idea because Brexit.
Blah
Yeah,
blah
and then he got
blah.
also idea about Brexit. So what would happen if all of Europe broke apart from the European Union and it's flung into the
Definitely
future?
not Tribes of Europa. I have to tell you.
Should we talk about show?
Let's get in. What do you
So
want to talk about first?
refugium.
Do you want to
we
talk
gotta we
about?
gotta start
There's
at the
nothing
beginning.
really to say about it. You mean the
Okay,
name?
so Tribes of Europa starts off with us seeing the three main characters, Liv,
Okay, there's three
Elia,
siblings. Yes,
and
Liv,
Keanu.
Keanu, and
Live, right.
Elia.
So they see some spaceship looking shit crash, and then they go over to it, and
No,
no,
it's
they go
not
back to
like
their
that.
town, their village. What is the village is called?
It's more.
Refugium. Right,
It's
right.
their settlement. Let's call it that.
Yes, yes.
Settlement sounds better.
And their tribe name is
The
the
Origines.
Origines.
Yeah,
The Origines who live in refugium
right,
in the middle of the forest who don't have anything to do with technology,
right.
right? But so they see the ship crash and they tell their village about it. It's like we shouldn't go and deal with it. And their father's like, no, don't do anything with it. And then the
La
next day
la
he's
la.
like, blah blah blah.
Anyhow, they
They go to the
decided to
ship.
go ahead
They decide to go.
and check it out.
And Elia, the youngest one, since the beginning of the show shows that they were doing some
And
adult ceremony shit.
yes, for him, because he's come of
Yeah.
age.
So they go to the ship, see that there's something going on. Elia finds a cube, apparently. The cube is the show's entire fucking MacGuffin. Okay? And then he says nothing about it to his family or
Mm-hmm.
anything. And then he takes it to his hideout where he keeps, I guess, technology from the past before Black December, which happens in 2029, which knocked out all technology and electricity and then plunged the world into chaos. Since the show takes place like what in 2074 or something like that, 45 years apart, it shuts down everything, and we're not even really given much about that. I guess that will be explained maybe later, but it's not. And so he's got all this little tech hidden away because the Origines don't believe in going to the outside world or having anything to do with technology. They're like the hippies or whatever tribe or whatever
Although
thing.
they do say that their mother, who was the founder of the Origines, was really interested in that kind of stuff.
She was interested in the past. Yeah. So he takes the cube. He doesn't say anything to his father, who's the leader of the tribe. He conveniently the guy who was flying the ship that crashed that they all saw at the beginning is in the same place that Elia's clubhouse of tech is. This is the first of conveniences that Elia
Was it the same
gets.
place? I
Yes,
don't
it was
recall.
literally just behind where he had his wall of like tech of old tech and things like that.
Anyhow, yeah, the pilot is found,
Uh
and
huh.
the pilot is from Atlantia. They call the people with the tech. Okay,
Atlantean
everyone,
tech.
Atlanteans.
And yeah, so we are assuming that since it's Atlantia,
It's
invades the
across the
Atlantic
Atlantic
Ocean.
Ocean.
So maybe
Americans,
Americans,
Canadians,
Canadians,
you know,
maybe Greenland. Like,
South America.
yeah, we don't know who the Atlanteans are, but the whole thing is everybody wants this Atlantean cube because their tech is super fantastic and whatever. So we're assuming it's the Americans because it's probably definitely Americans or whatever. So they find the dude, and well, no, it's only that Liv, his sister's like, you're being suspicious, and realizes that he knows where the guy is. So this is the first thing Elia meets some random person, some random tech, and he says nothing to his family, nothing to the people who take care of him or anything. And the only reason the plot kicks off is because his sister realizes he's being suspicious because he was never going to say anything because Elia is a piece of shit. So they find the dude, and then what happens? I can't remember.
Liv and Keanu, they take him back to the
Right,
settlement
because he
and they
got
try
hurt.
to
Yeah,
treat him.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
One of the like ladies who's of the settlement, elder, maybe who knows,
Who cares?
whatever,
Does it right?
just a
Skip
member,
that.
she
Skip all that.
tells her,
Blah blah
well,
blah.
she
Don't do
tells
stuff.
her important information, which is that you should not bring the guy here.
Right.
Simply.
Because apparently there's another tribe called the Crimsons, and they're not 100% with them, but they seem to have a secret with the Little Praha. That was the place, Little Praha, and the father went and saw that they all got killed, and apparently the group that killed them was the Crows. So yes,
Another group.
another tribe of Europa, the Crows. That's the name of them, the Crows. Their group, their entire group is called the Crows. So we
Okay.
have the Origines, Crimson, and Crows, and Atlanteans. Oh my
In
god.
any case,
These
the
names.
crows come looking.
For the Atlantean dude and his ship.
Exactly, because they're the ones who shot down the spaceship in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So they trace him back all the way to Refugium, where the Origines are, and they basically attack the settlement and kill
A
most
lot of people.
everybody.
Yeah. And Elia gets away with the cube. His older brother and father get captured by the crows. Liv gets shot in the stomach,
She
but it's
doesn't get shot, she gets like stabbed,
stabbed
didn't she?
or something like I can't remember.
She was super
But it's
fatally
one of those
wounded, but
things.
then she
Woke up because plot. Unkillable. She died from that gut wound, but you know, you can't just shake off getting stabbed or shot in the gut.
I guess so.
Yeah. So Liv survives, and she comes across one crow lady. They stay back because they can't find the cube because Elias ran away with the cube. Where's the cube? And she grabs her and is about to kill her, and then the Crimson show up and they're like, "Don't kill her. We finally have a crow that we could interrogate or something like that." Or that's further down. Anyways, so Liv is
Ends
now
up
with
going right.
Crimsons.
Liv and the captured crow Greta or Grieta, they're now with the Crimsons.
Keanu and his dad are captured by the crows and about to become
They're
slaves.
enslaved.
And Elia is just ran away to the old Crimson camp that got destroyed by the crows. Okay, we set up. All three of them are separated. Elia thinks that his family is probably dead, and so he doesn't know anything about what's going forward. Keanu and think that Liv is dead, so they don't know that she's around or anything, but they know that Elia is alive because he got away. Liv thinks that all of her family has been taken by the crows.
Right.
So each of them has certain ideas of who they think is alive. Yeah. So let's just talk about each sibling's plot all the way through. And can we talk about Elia first? Because I hate his entire fucking storyline.
I feel like you're just gonna shout the entire time and you haven't already.
Oh, like the worst thing about this show after watching it is his story path. It really is the weakest link out of all of them. And I mean, this
Yes,
thing has a lot
his
of weak links all over the place.
His um
And
his path is set up in such a way that he needs other people along with his character build.
okay, let's do it. Let's start now.
He cannot survive on his own, his character.
He doesn't have any wits about himself. He doesn't have any like ambition about himself.
Right. So the first thing that we've realized about Elliot is that besides the fact that it seems that he doesn't have any emotions,
Or common sense.
is that he doesn't have any self-awareness. He is incredibly trusting
To
in a bad
random
way.
people.
He's just really a naive boy.
I get that that's probably what they're going for because he's he's just lived in a hippie village all his life and whatever. But the fact that you just went through something really dangerous, like literally the next scene we see that he ends up at the Little Praha village and he's walking around in it, and then some random scavenger that he meets shows up, and he's like the scavenger's like, "What are you doing here?" And then he shows him the cube.
Right. He says that he can fix things,
Yeah,
and he just immediately shows him the cube.
gives him the cube.
It's
He's
and
like,
asks
"Ah,
if he
yes,
can fix
I
this.
can fix this. Of
It's
course." The person that you just met, you know, for literally 2 minutes. You
exactly.
give the thing that you got from the Atlantean dude, and he was like, "Get the message to my people,"
Exactly.
right? And then guys like, "Go and get my toolkit. It's just right in the next room," and the obvious happens. The
That
guy
he
runs
runs
away
away
with the
with the
fucking
cube.
cube.
Exactly.
It's like, wow, no shit. So the guy runs away, and he gets his truck and drives away, leaves him for dead essentially.
And then
A
some
random
random
crow
crow,
that's probably still in the woods somehow shows up and is about to kill him. Is like, "Where's the cube? Where's the cube? Give us the cube!" And then the guy who
scavenger
stole from
guy,
him
comes back
comes
to
back
save
and saves
him.
him for some reason. Like, it's just like, yeah, okay. And then for the rest of the show, they form a bond together.
Um, sure,
At
a
first, they're
bond.
bickering about, "Oh, you stole the cube from me," and he's like, "Ah, man, I'm just in this life selling it, whatever." What's his name again? Moses, right? That's
Right.
what's his name. I
Moses was
He
great
was
in
great.
Dark.
He
Moving on
The
though.
actor was great in
Yes.
Dark. Yeah, fantastic in Dark.
I'm
Here,
so sad for him, but we're not
no,
talking about
I
that.
didn't really like mind this role. I just honestly probably wish.
I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about his character in
Oh, the
Dark.
character in Dark. Oh,
How
the
he just
sadness.
ends up,
Oh, yeah.
in the thing forever.
Yeah. Total ending
Anyhow,
for
Moses.
him.
He's
So
Moses now.
Moses and Elia decide to team up. Elia lies saying that he just found the cube and they're like, he'll fix it and then they'll sell it and split it 50-50 essentially.
Correct.
So they go to they go to the lady Amina,
Yes.
and this is one of the few points that really pissed me off about the show.
They
So
don't explain how she
she
is
just
able
opened
to
it.
open it. They don't say that she has any farmer like experience with
She
cubes.
all we know is that like she knows stuff about tech. Moses does say that she's the only person that he knows on the continent who could fix it, right?
Okay, but then
But then there's just a
it
little
doesn't make any
scene where
sense.
she lets electricity on the cube. The cube opens up. There's a big music montage. Nothing is explained of what she's actually doing. She tinkers around with it,
Then
and
she
then the
opens
cube
it and says that it needs
it's not working.
um
And then Elia puts the cube
that
up to his eye because prior to all this, the Atlantean dude was like, "Put it up to your eye and it
yeah, like
will
scanned
connect to you."
Elia's eye and connected to him,
Uh,
and so he did the same thing in Amina's lab
and then we see
and
some shitty
like
CGI
hologram.
hologram that's
Yeah,
supposed to be a message, and we don't see it clearly because it's still broken.
right. And
The
it looks
cube's
like some kind of
astronaut dude walking away from like
yeah,
something.
someone in a suit like that.
Ugh. I hated everything about the cube because it is so terribly done.
I think the cube was with the wrong person.
Yes,
Honestly, if the cube was with Keanu
Live.
or Liv,
It would make more sense that the cube will
would
go
be
with
with
Live
Liv. But that's why they didn't do it, probably.
because the show would be better.
It would be better if there were only two siblings.
All right, let's speed through the rest of Elliot because I want to talk
Is
about
there
Liv and
anything
well,
else about him?
the whole nonsense with the cube
The
itself.
part with the shooting.
No. Before we jump to the part of the cube, so they go to Mina and then they get the thing cube fixed. Then they realize it still needs to be fixed, so they gotta go to another guy who has a part that could be
Right.
used in the cube, some fusion core bullshit
Module.
module, right? And then random crows once again show up out of the bush at Amina's place because I guess they were following Moses and Ilya in the car that they were driving. Somehow, yes, they followed them.
Sure,
Cool.
we'll believe it.
Sure, I believe so. We assume Amina's dead or slaved or whatever. Who gives a shit? She doesn't show us back up in the show again. Then they go to the place with that who the guy in it? Braca, the black guy. They go to the place. They go to Braca, and guess what?
What are you talking about?
That place, the guy Braca,
Is that what it's called?
Buckler Bracker is the name of the guy's name. The black guy,
Bracker is his name.
Bracker. Yeah, they go to his place because he's the person who has the core or whatever module. Sorry, and they they fall for the same gimmick that happened to Ilya with Moses before.
Yeah.
In that they go to the place, they say we want, and also it's Ilya because Ilya opens his big fucking mouth because he can't read the room that they want the module. He's like, "Do you have a fusion module?" And you can see it on Moses' face,
And
like,
apparently, when someone says that, it can
because
only be used in a
in cube, it can
cube,
only be used in an Atlantean cube.
although it sounds like
A
a
part that could
normal
be,
part,
yeah.
honestly.
So everybody wants the cube, and the guy's like, what's in the kid's bag?" So of course they didn't leave the cube, they didn't hide the cube or anything where it makes more sense so that nobody would assume that they have it or anything like that. Because Moses was saying that they have a seller they have a seller who wants it because they have a cube or something like that. So they just go over to Elia and just take the cube out of his bag.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did you fall for the same thing twice again? Like, the experience from Moses would tell you to maybe we should hide the cube a little bit ways down the street or something. Or, Elia, you stay back and I go and get the cube, right? Or I get the module. Instead of both of us going and carrying the actual cube with us. I'm like, they're like the comedy routine for the show. It seems because like that's what they're going for. Do you
No,
see
I
that?
think Moses is the comedy.
But him, Elia is a piece of like bread. He has no he has a personality. It's bread.
Okay, so look, when it came to Elia's story, it's weak writing or lazy writing, as we spoke
Extremely
about.
lazy. Like it's bad. It's
There is
boring.
it's boring. Not the show overall actually is boring,
But you can see like
but
pieces. You can see the worst thing about this show is not that it's just boring or bad. It is just that there are pieces here that could fine tune this better. But it just feels like a lot of interest in
I think
fine
it's a
tuning it.
lot of creativity.
Or not even a lot of creativity.
Yeah, it is because I know that a lot of shows obviously have their cliches
Yeah,
always. You
but it's
know, you
just
can't get away from that. But in this show,
it was so
every scene
blatant.
for us was predictable.
It was only
We were
towards
talking about what was going to happen before it
yeah.
happens, and then the next scene, Christopher, it was happening. It's boring because it's uber predictable.
Yeah, it is if you try to challenge anything in the trope itself. It's
And it's
just so
like that, even you see it clearly, plus the lack of writing in Ellie's
he
story.
really could have been written out of the show. It should have
That's what I
just been
told
two
you.
siblings. It really should have just been Liv I'm saying it right. Liv
Yeah,
and Keanu,
Keanu.
because they're the strongest storylines.
Indeed.
So let's just get the end. So
The end of Elia's
Elias,
story. So
God.
basically, they end up at a lake where we haven't even gotten to the part. It doesn't matter. We're gonna skip up the part
No,
where
no, no, no. Let's not
the
skip it.
cube turns into a gun for some reason. He
Yeah.
just holds it and it turns into a gun because it does. You know, it says what? It said hostility predicted, and it turned into a gun, some kind of gun.
And it
Okay,
fired two
and that is
shots,
how
and
he
then the
was
battery
able
died
to save Moses when they were back at Bracker's
when
place.
crows showed
When the
up.
crows show up again because they tracked them somehow.
Oh my
Um,
god! The crows just pop out the woods like we are here now. Whenever they need like events to happen in Ilia's storyline,
yeah,
crows
it's sad.
crows appear.
Do you see?
Yeah.
Okay. And then they leave the place and the tube tells them coordinates
By
like
the way,
they weren't asking for
the
coordinates.
cube just
It
does
just tells them.
whatever it wants because it's needed to do whatever it wants in
Right.
that event.
The
Okay,
the
wait. Let's go back to the gun. Let's go back to the gun. The cube says something about hostility detected, right? And then it
yes.
turned into a gun. How come when the crows attacked Refugium village, when it was there and it scanned with Ilya, it
Right.
didn't detect hostility when everybody was
Was
getting
getting killed.
murdered?
I don't know.
Fucking bullshit nonsense. Because I guess because the entire show, the cube has been slightly running out of power or whatever nonsense all the time,
It's not
right?
very consistent.
It is not. It does whatever it needs to for whatever event.
Right.
Because Elia can't do anything and has nothing else to do but carry around a cube. You could have literally killed Elia off and just follow Moses with the cube,
It's true.
and it probably would have been a better show.
It is true.
I don't know why they decided that they needed 3 siblings.
I don't know. I mean, they could have written a better character.
They could have like
But
like
they
you want to know how
failed.
bad it is? The kid who has because he's the inquisitive type, the kid who wants to know the truth about the past, the one who has the tech. So of course he finds the cube, right? Of course he runs into somebody who knows people who can fix the cube. The cube also does whatever it wants for him whenever it needs to do it. Of course, when at the end he gets mad at Moses because they end up at a lake because the cube told them they're following directions and then it battery dies again. This is like what the fifth or sixth time the fucking battery of the cube has died, and this is
It's
after they
like this.
supposedly
It's
fixed
like
it.
this. With Elia's story, we see there's point A and there's point B and
And
they
yeah,
get there,
just
but we
because
don't there's no connection.
there's no
We
okay.
just get there because B needs to happen.
B needs to happen. It needs to happen. This thing needs to happen in the plot, so this is how it happened.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he gets mad, right? And he
And
just takes the
throws
cube because the cube
I
stopped
mean, I knew
working
that he was gonna throw it in the water. I'm so
because
smart.
the way the shot is set up is like water lake. It's then a lake, and they're looking all around. It's like it's definitely in the lake. And then he gets mad because Moses like, let's just sell the cube, make money, retire to the Northern Alliance. You can live forever, pretty good, yeah. And then he's like, for no reason, he throws it into the
No, no,
ocean
this is
because he's
what let me
mad.
tell you what
But no, no, no.
emotions there are. It's like if no one can do it then I'm not going
So
to
no, no, no.
even
The
sell it either.
the worst thing is the cube is like, um, where you need to go is like 100 or so feet that way, right? So they know that they're in the right area, and they're like, "Oh, we can't get into it right now." So you mean to tell me this kid talked about how this is the only thing he has to
Yeah,
do,
it's ridiculous
and then
because
he
he's saying that
throws
he
the only thing
promises
he
he
promised,
promises the Atlantean
and then he's just
pilot that
gonna
he'll
throw
do
it
it
into the water
and because he's
because
upset.
he's upset,
He's throwing a mini tantrum.
even though he's
Yeah.
been upset the entire show. He's just gonna all of a sudden throw it into a body of water. But you know why he needed to throw it in the body of water?
Because
Because
that's
that's where the
where the
fucking
arc was.
arc is. Because of course it was. Because of course it was. And then he throws it into the water and it floats above in the air. Like, wow, shocking. It's in the water. And then it rises off of the ground and then they go inside of it. And I'm like, really?
Right. So Elia's story ends with Elia and Moses getting into
The supposed arc that the cube was supposed to take them to from all the
An
beginning.
exaggerated elevator.
The most
That's what it is.
garbage thing is his. It's so much, so pathetic. It's like it's definitely felt like it's tacked on. It drags the show down, and every time you have Elia scenes, I just wanted to like the show is not good, but Elia's entire art is the worst thing.
It is.
It's so fucking bad.
It's his storyline that lowers the quality of the entire
It's not
story.
even just like not even Liv and let's talk about Liv. Talk about Liv.
We're gonna talk about her first.
We're gonna talk about her first because I want to talk. I, Keanu's is more interesting to me because more interesting stuff happens to him in my opinion than Elia. And Liv's story is actually quite good because of her character itself. So
Anyhow, after um going ahead, well, she didn't really go ahead.
she
After being knocked up by the Crimsons and being taken back to
was
their
called
camp,
yeah.
she is sewn up where she was stabbed, and they like kind of tell her that she can stay there.
She's
But
like
she says that she wants to find her family, so she needs to go
to where the
to where the
crows
crows
are.
are.
So they're like, the crows are from Bratok. Bratok, my friends, is
Belgium.
Belgium.
Where
No,
Belgium used to
Berlin.
be.
Berlin. It's Berlin.
Was it?
Yes, because this is in Germany.
Belgium, Berlin.
No, 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 no. Two different places, Kimberly.
I know Belgium is a country, Berlin's a
Yes.
city, but you know, Bell.
So they're like, Bratok is where the crows live, and it's all surrounded, and it's well secured, and it has barricades and everything. It's all locked up, and they have this crow,
Right. So they're
the crow that she
decided that
didn't
they're
kill,
going to try to find out
information.
from her of how to get in there
And well,
without being detected by other crows.
because apparently crows kill themselves if they're captured, and this crow didn't kill herself. So before they show us the scene where she's locked up, I told Kim, if they don't have her mouth tied up or anything, that means or if she's not tied up, she could still kill herself. And if she's still alive, then it's probably plot reasons. So you go,
It's so she could die later. Don't you see?
yeah, so she could die later and still not be really any help to anybody. Ugh, whatever's. So we go, we see this stupid girl in a cage, and her hands aren't tied up, but she's hurt from the altercation before. Her mouth isn't tied up, so it's like she could easily just bite her tongue or swallow it and choke herself to death and die. But she doesn't kill herself.
Right.
Alright? So Liv is like, I'm going to try to get on her side so that I can find out information so that I can go to Broughton and get my family back because they're taken as slaves. So let's just talk about her thing in the overview. The reason why I like Liv's art the most is because she's willing to trust slash betray and or whoever to get to her goal. She's like,
Right.
I'm going to get on this girl's side so that she believes me or whatever. So she attempts to kidnap her out, and the girl starts talking for some reason out in the open because she finally believes that she isn't. She's actually going to get her to her
Yes.
place.
It's like 3 mind games later, they kind of are trusting each other.
Yes.
Or well, the crow is trusting Liv.
And she just opens her mouth about how to get into the actual place.
I don't know why she would tell her the entire route then. It doesn't make
I
any
would have
sense.
waited, and if I was smart, I would be like, let's leave Crimson territory first. But yeah, she just blabbers out how they're gonna
A
break it.
proper crow wouldn't.
A proper crow would have killed himself by now. So she's a shitty crow. So she just blabs out while they're pretend escaping, and Liv shoots off a flare, and all the crimson come out the bushes like if they were waiting or something.
Yeah, because they were tracking
They
them.
were tracking them, and then it's like now we know how to get in to Bratok. Yeah, so we're going to go, and the crimson guy, what's his name was again? That
David.
David.
Boss.
So you know David is the handsome fella that the female lead will have sex with because they need to have sex with him. So yeah, they do eventually have sex because of course the good looking fella and the good looking female main character will fuck because this is TV. So they do, and David thinks that they're having feelies or whatever, but you can see Liv is just using him because he will help her get to Berlin, right?
Exactly.
That gets cancelled because somebody betrays David to their head commander,
Merc.
Merc.
Merc betrays David
The head
to,
commander, and they're
what
like,
is his name?
I
Yeah,
don't
he has a
remember.
name. Francis Cameron.
Right, he's also a fucking idiot. Anyways, we get to him too in Liv's story.
And they
And
lock up
they lock up
David
David.
and say that it's high treason that he was trying to do the mission to
Because the Francis, the leader of the Crimson's, like, I want to negotiate with these slaver psychopaths. Yeah, I want to negotiate with them, and we have one crow that normally would kill themselves. One crow, only one. They don't have a whole bunch of hostages. They think that the people who kill people and kill themselves and have this weird society of you fight to death to become a crow will care about one person who did not die when they should have died. Yes, we're gonna trade one crow so that we could talk with your head dude. It was it's it was so people I don't even know what to do with
again,
this.
there was just things happening because they needed to.
But Liv, so David is tied up, and the other people are like, Liv, they're like, you. He goes, she talks to David in prison, and David is like, you need to kill him, right? So the people who support David are like, come on, Liv, help us, and they give Liv poison because the head Francis dude wants to talk with Liv for some reason.
And for some reason, it has to be Liv that does it when the
Well,
rest of
he
these
well he
skilled
wanted to speak to
people,
her though. He wanted to speak to her
it doesn't
before.
matter.
So they wanted to just use that time frame that she would be in the room with him. So
It's ridiculous.
try to poison him. So they give her poison to try to poison the guy. And the guy is talking about we're gonna go and we're going to negotiate. And guess what? I'll take you with me. So we could try and negotiate to get your family for this one crow that should have probably killed themselves. And Liv is like, weighing in her mind, I want my family. I don't really care about David. He can't get me to my family. This old dude probably can. So then she goes and she's like, I didn't kill him, and she's going to get her family. She's sorry. She still helps him anyways because she tells them about the little hole that is in the prison that they didn't fill up so that they could kidnap David at the end if they want.
In the end, she weighs her options and chooses the best one that she saw.
Exactly. That's kind of why. That's the only thing that I really liked about her whole thing. She's like,
Exactly. She has one loyalty to her
her family
family.
that is stolen and kidnapped and being turned slaves, and she's trying to find every option so that she could get to Berlin. So she's going now to. They're taking the crow to Brata to negotiate at some place. So they
In
get
any
there,
case, they end up in the street, in the
and
middle of
time
some street
for the
where the crows
stupidest
have
scene.
barricaded off, and God, the general of the Crimsons,
Oh
after the
man,
crows wouldn't,
let
kind
them
of let
through.
them through or
Gets
call
out
whoever, he gets out
in the
uncovered,
open, no
even though he is
cover.
some kind of general
The
commander.
leader of the Crimson stands up in the middle of the street. No cover. There are buildings behind and in front. There can be snipers in and around them. And he stands out in the middle of the road as like you're and talking to some guy, you're about to make history now, or all sort of nonsense. We want to talk to your head, dude. He gets sniped by David from behind.
Or
Okay.
David's people, whatever.
And dies because that's what happens when you stand out in the middle of the street like a jackass.
Right. So then the
Oh my
Crows and
god.
the Crimsons have their own mini battle
In the
there.
streets, yeah. Liv
And Liv
grabs
grabs
the
Greta
crow.
out of the back.
Greta's the crow, and So she grabs her, takes her, and they're trying to do what? What's she trying to do? She's trying to save Greta because she's hurt, keep her alive, and hide in one of the places around. David finds them, and David's like, "You betrayed me, blah 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 blah. You could come back now. You don't need to do this, blah blah blah." And pretends to kill her, and then he runs away. Greta dies because her role in the story has is over now. She can't even be used as a bargaining chip. And Liv is in the middle of the street just being like, oh no, she's dead. What am I ever going to do? And then all of a sudden, some lady on a horse shows up behind her and is like, we need to leave now. You should come with us if you want to live. This that gets dropped so many times in this show. You should come with us. Come with me if you want to live. And where the group they're from?
They're from the group that sounds like semen.
Femen. A woman on a horse is like, we're the Femen, come with us. And that's how her story ends.
Right. So Liv's story ends with her losing her chance to save her family.
Yeah. Well, they think they're going to get a season two, so they probably are going to get a season. It's probably already going to get season two. Probably already get hooked up for season two or whatever. Because all the stories, they don't nothing. This show, the worst thing about this show is that all the storylines are cliffhanger hooks for another season. Nothing is super resolved. You just left with more questions, and I don't think any of them really left me wanting to watch the season two. But at least Liv's story was fine because I like that she was just, I need to get stuff. I need to get my family. I need to get my family. Trust this person, whatever. I like that. That's the only reason why her storyline is better than Elia's. And at least it's consistent. That's what I have to say. It's consistent.
Right.
And it was cliche too with him, her, and David. It's like they needed why this was unnecessary, but you know how it is with these fucking shows. Obvious must be obvious, right? Now let's talk about the best story arc. It's the best one, right? It's definitely the best one.
Um, I don't think any of them are the best, honestly.
Keanu gets taken as a slave to Brotok.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, slavery, right? And then he's in some factory.
It's a woke factory.
What is woke again?
Woke.
I honestly didn't. I know they were making woke, but I don't
Woke.
know what the heck is woke. I don't know why they sell it, or it's a drug.
I don't know. It looks like blue jelly.
Hmm. I have no idea what it is. I assume that is just some type of drug or material or something like that. I don't remember. Who cares what woke is? It's something that they're making. So he's in a factory. He sees a deal go down between a guard and the slaves, and he reports it. No, he almost gets killed by the slaves for seeing it, and then he reports it to Lord Vivara, right?
Mm-hmm.
The original lady who sat Refugium and killed everyone who was looking for the cube in the beginning. She runs the factory. So he eventually he tells the truth. She's like, we're gonna kill you because you're saying that my guard is a liar. But then she finds evidence that something is actually going down. Makes the guard commit suicide and kills the other two guys who were part of the whole crew nonsense. And then she takes Keanu into her harem, which is called a hakar. But takes it into her harem with all her boys, and that is where Keanu will be for a while. I yeah, I like his whole story already. He goes from being a slave, then to being a sex slave, and then being kind of like Vivara's protege. in a way.
No,
Eh.
no.
She's trying to turn. She's trying to turn him because that's what happens. She beats him down enough that he turns, or he wants to become a crow because he sees it as a way for freedom.
Yeah, but
And
I don't think that it's because he's
no,
being
no, no,
so beaten down
no, no.
or brainwashed. I think that he's just going along with it as well.
Yeah,
He's like, you know what? Okay, I can do what I gotta do. That's what I
it's
think
also
his
it's the
mentality
reason it's
is.
the same reason why I like Liv and Keanu's storyline. They're like,
Exactly.
I need to do this so that I can have a better result. He goes enslaved, ends up set slave, realizes that there's a way. What's it called?
A bodge or something.
Bodge, right?
Of course, he doesn't know that he'll meet his father in this
Oof.
bodge.
And that's at the end.
Yes, his father was also taken slave by like the head guy whose name I don't remember.
Capitan.
Right.
I okay. Let's.
No, we
What
don't
was with
really need to
Capitan?
talk about him because he was not an impactful character.
Vivaro was interesting as a character, really interesting, and I honestly felt I wish that she was actually the leader of the crows,
Well,
like
she's not,
straight up,
so
because that seems like what a crow should be. Capitan feels like some like the guy that you have doing a gesture. I don't know. What it was so he was lame. He was so lame. Like so many things in this show is just so lame. Ah,
the real question is how he got in that
who fucking
position.
knows? They keep saying "Hail to the strongest," even though he's walking with a limp, with a
You call it a limp, but maybe it's just his swag.
swag. swag. Ugh. Ugh, that show's just. Ugh.
Any case, Keanu meets his dad in the death match.
Yes,
His dad is like, "You need to do it,"
you need to do it.
and he's like, "I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do
And they're
it."
like, "You guys are not going to make
Then
me do
Capitan
this."
is like, "Well, unless the two of y'all want to die, then somebody can kill somebody here." And the dad basically kills himself,
So that Keanu
so
could
that
live
Keanu could
and
live.
become a crow.
Right. And he wins and does his crow initiation. So then he becomes a boozy or boozy, whatever. I can't remember what
His
it's
name is
called.
Tarok at the end or something like
Isn't it Torak
that. Oh no,
or
man.
Track or something?
Ah.
Torak, I think. Right. So then he is, at the end, he killed his father and
Yeah,
certainly got some trauma. That's
yeah.
how his end of the
I
season
liked
is.
his and Vivara's interactions throughout the event. I definitely like that. I like the idea of having the point of views, because that's the whole point of the whole having the siblings better. I like Keanu's the most because you get to learn the most about how Crow society work. We didn't really learn much
About
about
the
the Crimsons,
Crimsons.
even
It's
though
true.
Liv stayed with the Crimson. All we just
Yeah.
know is that there's a military society and they're trying to push back and like bring back essentially the European Union of old.
Right. We didn't really get to see anything about how their
It
culture
really is a
has
harder work.
evolved or anything.
We learn more about how certain things work in crows. Not everything, but we understand how to become a crow, why, how Vivar belief then. Like weakness is death essentially to the crows. I don't know. I don't think I'll watch season 2 of this. It
There's nothing
was
to think about.
like
I will
each
definitely not be
each story
watching the
arc
second season.
ended on a cliffhanger. The only character art that I really, if I had to say that I would watch the show to see, is Keanu's and maybe Liv, because I get they're probably setting up that they'll meet on a battlefield somewhere one of these days, that type of situation, you
I
know.
don't care.
Me neither,
While
but
watching, I think it was the third episode. I got so bored
Yeah,
and just tired. It was
yeah.
really difficult to just watch the rest as well. I was like, do we have to? Remember?
It is, yeah.
Anyway,
Remember we took a break after episode 4? We were just
yeah.
like, let's come back to that later. I
It's like it's so we paid attention to it because we
But
wanted to
paying
be
more
able to
attention
talk
to it,
about it and
yeah,
to understand,
it just
but you
makes
just
you
get myself more
annoyed.
bored.
Yeah, more annoying and more boring. The worst thing about this show, well, I've said that many times now. I think about it. One of the worst things about this show
That
is
it was
that
created in the first place.
it has potential if it was fine tuned.
There's no potential in my book.
Elia's story needs more because all he really is a person, somebody who carries the cube.
He doesn't need the story.
Like, I would rather prefer if it was split in two stories and one group got the cube, but they didn't. They needed something else, and they needed a reason to go to Brata.
Here's the thing. They're going Liv seems to be she's going to be that character who ends up in different tribes, right?
Mm.
If she's with the Femen and then end up with some other group and stuff like that, I think her character will be showing us
All the other tribes, and then
others.
bringing them together to fight against the
I
crows or
don't know
something like
anything
that.
about bringing together. Who cares about that? I wasn't talking about that. But the cube would have done great in her hands.
Probably have her be like have to choose
Since
between.
she's the one who is actually doing proper adventure
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Have her have to choose between should I go to the thing or should I take this cube to see if I could get reinforcements or help or something like that from the Atlanteans, from my family or something like that. Because, like, seriously, I don't know, man. This show has potential, but it feels like all the good things or good ideas in it were squandered on mediocre writing and mediocre characters.
I don't think there were any good ideas.
I mean, I like the whole stuff with Keanu being in thing and then eventually becoming a crow, and how he's going to go forward now being a crow and the things that he's going to have to do and get put situations he's going to get put in and how he might change as a person. I'm interested in seeing that. That sounds interesting. Liv's storyline was good because she's all about I have a goal in mind and I'm going to use anybody who offers me help. I don't care who it is. I'm going to get to my goal. That's good. Elia is just a cube. Cube boy is what I eventually started to call him. Because what else? What other character trait to him is there other than the kid with the cube?
The
Nothing.
naive kid with the cube.
There's nothing. They're trying throughout the whole entire show. They were trying to do something with like him and Moses are getting closer, like a father and son type of thing. It didn't work for me. It didn't really work
It
for me at
didn't.
all. Didn't.
I don't think that's what they were
That's
doing.
what they were doing, though.
If they were
All
going
those
for a
scenes.
father son kind of thing, it didn't not work, Christopher. Honestly, I didn't get that at all.
That's what they were attempting to do, and they failed. That's what I'm saying. You didn't get it, but that's because they failed. There were attempts, but they failed. That's the show. There was an
Anyhow,
attempt, and they
overall, what
failed.
do you think? Overall, give it a score.
What the hell much?
Since we're score people.
We're score people now.
We've always been score people.
A 4 out of 10. Yeah, it. I would say 5, I guess, if I was being generous,
Yeah, I'll give it a 5.
because they spend so much time in sets and forests and uh the show doesn't have a huge budget, but they did do what they could, I guess, and they're trying to do that whole
Budget doesn't have anything to
post-apocalyptic.
do with it,
I'm
right?
trying I'm trying to evaluate the show, the production, right? But it
Okay, so
just
I did not have an issue with any of the settings though.
the
Even though they
CGI for
keep
the
trying to
thing was
put
terrible.
Liv in the forest because they wanted to save money or something. It
But
doesn't
she,
matter.
no, she was in the forest because she's part of the origins and they're forest people. That's why they keep having those scenes of
Right,
her in the
but
forest.
Keanu was in a woke factory
I mean,
because he's of the origines.
no, but he couldn't go in the forest because he was a
Exactly.
slave. But he did have that one dream of being in the forest. And freaking
Anyway,
thing was all about in the woods all the time, so he wasn't really having any problems.
anyhow,
Man, this show wasn't good.
exactly. Do
I
you have
saw.
any specific other specific things you want to talk about or no? I'd like to end it really. I mean, just talking about it or rather hearing you talk about it again is just infuriating.
I have so many notes, but just looking at them just tire me out.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, I gotta talk about. Yeah, you know what? No, it is not a good show, and it's not worth your time.
Basically, we do not recommend it.
You can still watch it, but
I
fuck.
definitely won't recommend it because Dark was good. Never. I would never do that to
God,
anyone I
the
cared
moment
about.
I saw that, I was like, yeah, these people, that review is probably paid off. Definitely an
That
advertisement.
person must have not watched Dark.
They probably fucking watched it, but then they got paid to essentially, the whole shit is get paid promotions on for reviews and shit. Yeah, imagine if we were getting paid, we'd be like, oh man, Elliot's storyline was so unique and
No,
interesting.
there's no way would lie about that, especially when it comes to things that I watching or
But
reading.
you're getting
I'm not
paid to
gonna.
give a good review, Kimmy, not a
Then
bad
they can
review.
say about their money. I getting paid to give a good review for a bad show? Psh.
I saw people giving this like 8 out of 10, and I'm like, what?
Them people never watch nothing. This is their first TV show.
This show was not good.
They
It's just
never read a story. They never consume anything that has a storyline.
like they could keep
God.
everything the same way it is, just remove Elliot's storyline, and this would be at least a six.
It will
Or
actually be better.
it would be so much better, and they could probably even do more with the two siblings.
Anyhow,
Ugh.
we don't need to talk about this anymore, do we?
No, I'm done. Fuck this show.
All right then. See you everyone on a better every day is better that no one is watching Tales of Europa. That's what I was just about to say. Wow.
Tales of Europa.
Tribes. Whatever.
More like Trials of Europa, because that's what this felt like. Anyways, everyone, have a good night.
Good night.